The first time my husband called me in 3 weeks, it wasn't to ask about the baby growing inside me. It wasn't to tell me he missed the sound of my voice. It was to end our marriage. Harper? His voice was flat, distant, a stranger's voice traveling over an ocean to reach me in our small, quiet house. We need a divorce. My heart didn't just break, it stopped. For a full second, the world went silent. The hum of the refrigerator, the gentle ticking of the clock on the wall, all of it gone. Just his words, hanging in the dead air. "What?" I whispered, my hand instinctively going to my stomach. "I've met someone else," he said, with no more emotion than if he were reading a grocery list. "I'm living with her now. So, I need you to file the papers. A unilateral divorce. Just get it done." How did we get here? How did the man who swore he was doing all this for us become this monster on the other end of the line? It started with a promise of a better life, thousands of miles away. We were happy, you know? Or, I thought we were. We lived in a small town in the heart of the Midwest, a place where everyone knew your name and your business. We worked at the same factory, our lives paced by the rhythm of the assembly line. We weren't rich, but with our 2 salaries, we were comfortable. We managed to put away almost half of what we earned, saving up for a future I could see so clearly. A little house with a yard, our daughter playing on a swing set, is less than #0. 3# is greater than it was simple, but it was ours. I was 23 when we married, and at 30, with our first child on the way, I felt like my life was perfectly, beautifully on track. Then his cousin called. His cousin worked overseas, a contracting job in Dubai. He'd filled Ethan's head with stories of unimaginable wealth. $30,000, $40,000 a month, tax-free. A fortune to people like us. The agency fee is only about 15 grand, Ethan told me one night, his eyes shining with an excitement that terrified me. We could pay that off in a few months. Harper, think about it. After 3 years, we'd have enough for a down payment on a real house, not just some fixer-upper. I didn't want a real house. I wanted him. "No," I said, my voice shaking. I was 3 months pregnant. My whole world was shifting, and the one thing I needed was my anchor. "I want you here, Ethan, with me, with our baby." He didn't listen. The dream of Dubai had already taken root. We fought. For days, the silence in our little house was deafening, broken only by slammed doors and my quiet sobbing in the bedroom. He knew he couldn't convince me, so he went to his mother. One evening, I was curled up on the sofa, trying to lose myself in some mindless TV show, when Carol, my mother-in-law, let herself in. She sat next to me, her presence filling the room. "Still awake, honey?" "Yeah, can't sleep." "Listen to me," she began, her tone gentle but firm. "You should let Ethan go. Let him do this. It's only 3 years. He'll come back with enough capital to start his own business, to give you and this baby a real future." "But it's so far, Carol," I pleaded. "I don't have a good feeling about this. We're doing okay here. We're saving money." She sighed, a sound of weary patience. "You're saving money now, before the baby. Do you know how much diapers cost? Formula. What if the baby gets sick? A few $100s a month isn't going to cut it. Let him go. Let him build a fortune for his family." I felt cornered, trapped, with his parents, his cousins, his entire family echoing the same refrain. What choice did I have? I finally relented, my agreement a choked whisper. We had about $7,000 saved. His parents loaned us the other $8,000. And just like that, with a kiss at the airport that felt more like a goodbye than a "see you later," my husband was gone. The first few months were bearable. He was lonely, and he needed me. He called every single night, telling me about the biting cold of the desert nights, the endless sand, the grueling work. He had to walk a long way to the work site in the dark, and I'd lie in bed, tears streaming down my face, picturing him cold and alone so far from home. My heart ached for him. When he got his first paycheck, he was ecstatic. I made $3,000, Harper. After expenses, he sent the entire amount home, every penny. He told me he was working side jobs, under the table, to cover his own food and living costs. We paid back a chunk of the loan to his parents. We were on our way. We'd talk for hours, painting a picture of the future. He swore to me, over and over, that when he came back, he would make up for all this lost time. We would be happy. The second month, another $3,000 arrived. We paid back more of the loan. We only had $7,000 left to go. Carol even made a smug comment. See? And you were kicking and screaming about letting him go. Look at you now, all smiles. I just shook my head. I'm still not okay with it, Carol. I worry about him. I'd rather have less money and have him home, safe. She just rolled her eyes. You always want to keep him tied to your apron strings. Let the man provide for his family, Harper. For God's sake. Then came the third month. The calls stopped being daily. Then they became weekly. His voice was different, distracted, rushed. He always had an excuse to hang up. Payday came and went. No money arrived. I started to panic. I'd call him at night, when I knew he'd be off work, but his phone would go straight to voicemail. My fear was a cold, hard knot in my stomach. I finally broke down and called his cousin. His phone's broken, his cousin said, a little too quickly. He's out right now. I'll have him call you. He never did. I stayed up all night, staring at my silent phone. I called the cousin back in the morning. He was exhausted, the cousin said. Fell right asleep. Just call him later. I knew something was wrong. You know, don't you? That deep, intuitive feeling that a woman gets when the man she loves is pulling away. It's a specific kind of cold. When Ethan finally did call, his voice was hollow. The money for this month, I had to use it for a new phone and some medical bills. I didn't get angry. I was just worried. Are you okay? That's all that matters, Ethan. Your health is more important than money. Just take care of yourself. Yeah, okay, he mumbled. And then he was gone. From that day on, he became a ghost. He'd call his parents sometimes, and I'd hear his voice in the background. One day, I walked in as my father-in-law was on the phone with him. Hold on, son. Harper just got home from work. Talk to your wife. I heard Ethan's rushed reply through the receiver. No, I'm busy, Dad. I'll talk to her later. He hung up. Time crawled by. My belly grew, and my heart shrank. I was waiting for a man who had already left me. He didn't call when our daughter was born. He didn't ask for pictures. The money had stopped completely, and we still owed his parents $7,000. My gut feeling had hardened into a certainty. There was another woman. When I dared to voice this to Carol, she snapped at me. Don't be ridiculous. My son is working himself to the bone over there. He told me he's saving it all up to send a large sum at once. Stop being so paranoid. My intuition is never wrong, Carol, I said, my voice quiet but firm. He used to call me every day. Now I'm lucky if I get a text once a month. He's with someone else. I know it, but she refused to believe me, fiercely defending the son who had abandoned his pregnant wife. Life had to go on. I went back to work at the factory. Carol had no choice but to watch the baby. After all, I had to work to pay her back the rest of the loan. I threw myself into my work, burying my sorrow, under long hours and exhaustion. I stopped thinking about Ethan. I stopped waiting for his calls. I built a wall around my heart, and then, 1 year and 6 months after he left, the ghost decided to call. The phone rang, his name flashing on the screen. A strange mix of hope and dread washed over me. Hope, because after all this time, he was finally reaching out. Dread, because I knew, deep down, this wasn't a call of reconciliation. My hand trembled as I answered. "Hello? Harper? It's me. I know. Are you home from work? Is the baby okay?" "She's not a baby anymore, Ethan. Her name is Lily. And yes, she's fine." I was proud of how steady my voice was. "How's your work?" "It's fine. Listen, I have something to tell you." There it was. I could feel the floor dropping out from under me. "What is it?" I whispered. And that's when he said it. The words that would shatter my world. "I want a divorce." My breath hitched. My world, which had been teetering on a cliff's edge, finally plunged into the abyss. I forced myself to ask the question, even though I knew the answer would destroy me. Can I at least know why?" His answer was a sterile, factual statement. "I have someone else. She and I live together here now." The words were like stones, heavy and lifeless. "You're living with her." "Yes. That's why you need to file the papers, Harper. A unilateral divorce. I'm not coming back. Her family is here, and they want me to stay." A sob, hot and raw, tore its way up my throat. "Ethan, please, don't do this to me. Please don't leave me and the baby. I'm begging you." He was unmoved. His voice remained a cold, flat line. "She needs me more, Harper. She's pregnant too." Pregnant. The word hit me with the force of a physical blow. She's a very pitiful person," he continued, as if that explained everything, as if that excused everything. "She needs someone to protect her, and I want to be the one to protect her for the rest of my life." Protect her? What about me? What about the nights I'd spent alone and terrified? What about the pain of childbirth I'd endured without him? What about our daughter, his daughter, who he had never even held? I wasn't pitiful. I was just his wife. "So, you're just throwing us away." The words came out in a strangled cry. "For someone you feel sorry for. What about us, Ethan? What about our daughter? We need you." I was wailing now, the sound ugly and animalistic. All the pain, the loneliness, the betrayal of the last year and a half. It all came pouring out. "Please, Ethan, just come home. Come back to us. Lily and I can't live without you. I'm begging you. I'm on my knees begging you." He didn't say goodbye. He didn't try to console me. He just hung up. The silence that followed was more violent than any scream. I tried to call him back again and again, but the number was already disconnected. He had cut the last thread, leaving me completely and utterly alone. The grief was a sickness. It settled deep in my bones. For nearly a month, I was a ghost in my own life. The shock and the stress stole my appetite, my sleep, and finally, my ability to nurse my daughter. I had to wean Lily, just as she was about to turn 1 year old. Another piece of our bond severed by a man an ocean away. I grew thin and pale, a shadow of the woman I used to be. My mother couldn't bear to see it. She came over one afternoon, her eyes full of a pain that mirrored my own. She went straight to Carol. "Let me take them home," my mother said, her voice firm. "Let me take Harper and the baby back to my house for a while. I need to take care of her." Carol, to her credit, didn't argue. She finally knew the truth. She had called Ethan, screamed at him, pleaded with him, but he was a stranger to her too. She was helpless. She nodded, her face etched with a weary resignation. For over a month, I lived under my parents' roof. My mother nursed me back to health with home-cooked meals and unwavering love. Slowly, the color returned to my cheeks. I started to sleep through the night. I started to see a future beyond the wreckage of my marriage. "You need to divorce him, honey," my mother would say gently, stroking my hair as I held a sleeping Lily. "Do what he said. File the papers. You're still so young. Your whole life is ahead of you. Don't let him ruin it. Your father and I will help you raise this beautiful girl." But it wasn't that simple. Every time I looked at Lily, my heart would break all over again. She had never felt her father's arms around her. She had only seen his face a handful of times, a flickering image on a screen when he called his parents. How could I officially erase him from her life? How could my life have become such a bitter, tragic mess? While my parents urged me to cut the cord, my mother-in-law was begging me to hold on. Carol wouldn't let me file for divorce. She would come over to my parents' house every day to see Lily, and she would always pull me aside, her eyes filled with tears. "Don't do it, Harper. Please, don't file the papers yet. Just wait. Wait until he comes back, and we'll figure it out then." She still clung to the hope that he would change his mind. One afternoon, I finally told her I couldn't wait any longer. I needed to move on. Her desperation intensified. "Listen to me, Harper," she said, grabbing my hands. "Please, listen to your mother-in-law. If you divorce him now, you're making it easy for him. You're rolling out the red carpet. He'll just bring that woman back here, and they'll get married without a single obstacle. Is that what you want? To make their lives easier? I can't stomach it, Harper. I won't accept it." I stared at her, her words sinking in. "But Carol," he was so clear. "He said he's staying there. He's never coming back." "He's a fool," she sobbed. "He's caught up in some fleeting fantasy. I promise you, one day he will wake up and regret this. He will come crawling back to us. Give him that chance. Give us that chance. Please, Harper, whatever you want to do, whatever life you want to live, just please don't divorce him yet. Not now." Her words resonated with a painful logic. Why should I make it easy for them? Why should I be the one to neatly tie up the loose ends of the life he had destroyed? So I made a decision. I wouldn't file the papers. Part of me, a small, foolish part, still held on to the hope that she was right. But another, larger part of me was driven by something else, a dark curiosity. I wanted to know who this woman was, this pitiful creature who had stolen my husband. Was she beautiful? Was she kind? I had to see her for myself, and for that, I was willing to wait. I packed up my things and Lily's, and I moved back into the house I had once shared with Ethan, back into the home of his parents, and something inside me shifted. The fog of grief began to lift, replaced by a cold, clear resolve. I started taking care of myself. I bought new clothes. I wore makeup. I styled my hair. I started smiling again, a real smile that reached my eyes. Carol didn't question it. She encouraged it. "That's it, honey," she'd say, watching me get ready to meet friends for coffee. "A woman needs to be beautiful, not for a man, but for herself. You keep this up. You go out. You live your life." There was no more pressure, no more sadness hanging in the air between us. We were no longer just mother and daughter-in-law. We were allies. 2 months later, my ghost of a husband decided to call me again. I picked up the phone, my voice calm and even, a world away from the sobbing mess he'd hung up on. "Hello, Harper? It's me. I know. What's up?" I said, as casually as if we'd spoken yesterday. Did you file the papers? The unilateral divorce?" I let out a small, bored-sounding sigh. If you want a divorce so badly, you can come back here and file them yourself. I have more important things to do." His voice sharpened with irritation. "Why are you being so stubborn? I told you, I don't love you anymore. Just file the damn papers." I felt a surge of power. For the first time in a long time, I had control. "You know what, Ethan?" I said, my voice dripping with nonchalance. "I don't love you anymore, either. But I just don't feel like getting a divorce right now. So, if you want one, you know where to find me. Don't call me again and yell. It's exhausting." And then, I hung up on him. The satisfaction was a warm, unfamiliar hum under my skin. It was intoxicating. Immediately, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was my father-in-law's number. I let it ring. A few minutes later, Carol came into my room, phone in hand, an exasperated look on her face. "It's Ethan," she said, rolling her eyes. "He's furious." She put the phone on speaker. "Mom, I told you to get her to file the papers." Ethan's voice was a furious bark. "Why is she still there? Why is she still living in my house?" Carol's response was ice cold. "You're delusional, Ethan. This is my house, mine and your father's. And last I checked, you still owe us $7,000. So until you pay that back, you have no say in who lives here. But I don't want her there. Kick her out, Mom. Just kick her out so she has no choice but to file." "I will do no such thing," Carol snapped. "And you? Don't you have the audacity to call me and make demands? You're the one who abandoned your family. You deal with the consequences." She hung up, a definitive click that echoed the one I'd made just moments before. He was powerless. The realization was liberating. For the next few weeks, Ethan tried to terrorize me. He sent a barrage of angry texts, filled with threats and insults. But his words had lost their sting. I was numb to him now. His anger couldn't touch the part of me that had already died. He had no power over me anymore. When he realized he couldn't break me, he turned his fury back on his parents. But Carol was a fortress. She threatened him right back. "You keep this up, and you might as well stay over there for good," she warned him one day. "Because if you ever show your face here again with that woman, I will personally break both your legs." Trapped in a cage of his own making, thousands of miles away, there was nothing he could do. And so, life fell into a strange, new rhythm. I was a married woman, living in my husband's family home, raising my daughter with the help of her grandparents. And yet, I was entirely on my own. I went to work. I took care of myself. Lily was my entire world, a bright, beautiful sun, in a life that had known too much darkness. Her laughter was the only music that mattered. But sometimes, the nights were long. After Lily was asleep, after the house fell quiet, the loneliness would creep in. It was a physical ache, a yearning for something I knew I couldn't have. No matter how strong a woman is, there are moments when she just wants to be held. Moments when the weight of the world feels too heavy to bear alone. On those nights, I would cry, silent, gut-wrenching sobs into my pillow, a release of all the pain I kept locked away during the day. But every morning, I would wake up, wash my face, put on my lipstick, and walk out the door as if my heart wasn't a shattered mosaic. I had to, for Lily, for myself. It was during one of those grueling shifts at the factory that my life took another unexpected turn. I was exhausted, running on fumes, and I'd nodded off for just a second at my workstation. "Harper? Hey, Harper?" A gentle nudge on my shoulder startled me awake. It was Maya, the girl from the next station over. What is it?" I mumbled, blinking the sleep from my eyes. "Oh my God. Open your eyes and look," she whispered excitedly, pointing towards the front office. "We have a visitor, and he is gorgeous." I glanced up, uninterested. So, let me sleep. I turned back to my work, but Maya and the other girls wouldn't let it go. They were practically swooning. The object of their affection was the son of the company's CEO. He was new, sent here to learn the ropes of the family business. And yes, objectively, he was handsome, tall, well-dressed, with kind eyes. But what did that matter to me? You can't eat handsome. It was because I paid him no attention, because I saw him as just another face in the factory, that I made the most mortifying mistake of my life. A mistake that would, ironically, change everything. I was working overtime that night, a double shift. It was late, the factory was almost empty, and I was in a rush to get home to Lily. I grabbed my beat-up motorcycle from the parking rack, and in my haste, I swung it around too quickly and slammed it right into him. He was walking out of the factory doors just as I was leaving. The bike tipped, the full weight of it crashing down on my leg. A sharp, searing pain shot up from my ankle. "Oh my God, I am so sorry. Are you okay?" he asked, rushing to help me. I didn't recognize him. In the dim light of the parking lot, through the haze of pain and exhaustion, I thought he was one of the guys from the packing department. A young kid, always goofing off, and all my frustration, all my exhaustion, all the pain in my leg, it just exploded. I slapped him, hard, across the face. "You idiot!" I yelled, my voice trembling with rage. "Watch where you're going. If my leg is swollen tomorrow and I can't work, you're dead. You hear me? Dead." He just stood there, stunned, holding a hand to his cheek, but his voice, when he spoke, was surprisingly gentle. "I'm so sorry. Please, let me take you to a doctor. Let me get your leg checked out." "I don't need your help," I snapped. "Just open your eyes next time you're walking." "God, I'm really sorry," he said again, looking genuinely concerned. "Whatever, just go home. It's late." I wrestled the bike upright, ignoring the throbbing in my leg, and rode away, leaving him standing alone in the parking lot. The next day, my ankle was a swollen, purple mess. I hobbled into work, fuming. "Look at this," I complained to Maya, showing her my leg. Some idiot from the packing department wasn't looking where he was going last night, and I dropped my bike on my foot. I could kill him. Maya's eyes went wide. "Oh my God, it's all bruised. What a moron." A few minutes later, as I was settling into my workstation, a shadow fell over me. "Excuse me? Is your leg still hurting?" I knew that voice. I looked up, and my blood ran cold. It was him, the CEO's son, the handsome new manager. My jaw dropped. How did you know my leg was hurt?" He gave me a small, sheepish smile. We ran into each other last night. Don't you remember?" Oh, God. I wanted the factory floor to open up and swallow me whole. That was you?" My voice was a horrified whisper. "Oh, no. Oh, I am so sorry. I thought you were the kid from packing." He chuckled, a warm, easy sound. "It's okay. As long as your leg is all right, I'm happy." He walked away, and Maya immediately pounced. Her eyes narrowed with suspicion. "Okay, what was that?" I knew there was something going on between you two. "Don't you dare lie to me." I scowled at her. "What are you talking about?" "There's nothing going on. You're crazy." "Oh, please," she said, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "The way he looks at you, with that gooey-eyed expression, you two are definitely a thing." I smacked her playfully on the head. "Get back to work, you lunatic. You're seeing things." But she wasn't. From that day on, he made it a point to walk by my station every single day. "How's the leg?" he'd ask. his smile crinkling the corners of his kind eyes. Maya was relentless. "See, I told you. He's totally into you." "Maya, be quiet," I'd hiss, my cheeks burning. "Someone will hear you and get the wrong idea. It's not funny." "What's the wrong idea? And who cares what they think?" "I care," I said, my voice tight. "I'm a married woman, Maya. People will talk," she scoffed, rolling her eyes so hard I thought they'd get stuck. "Oh, give me a break. Your husband is openly living with his baby mama in Dubai. You getting a new boyfriend is not a scandal. It's a public service. And if anyone says a word, I'll punch them in the face." Her bluntness was both terrifying and comforting. I had to physically cover her mouth to stop her from shouting it to the entire factory floor. "Please, for the love of God, keep your voice down." He asked me out for coffee a few times, but I always refused. I was too scared, too broken. I told him I would only go if Maya came with us, so she did, and it was a disaster. Maya, bless her heart, has no off switch. She talked the entire time, a whirlwind of stories and jokes and observations that left no room for anyone else to get a word in. The manager and I just sat there, two silent observers at the Maya show. As we were leaving, he leaned in and whispered in my ear, "Next time, let's just the two of us go, okay?" My head is spinning. I just smiled and shook my head. "We'll see about that." That night, when I got home, Carol was waiting for me with news. "Harper, honey, sit down." Her face was a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "Ethan called. He said he's flying home tomorrow." My heart stopped. Tomorrow. After 3 years. I swallowed hard, my mouth suddenly dry. Is he coming alone?" Carol's smile faltered. He didn't say. "I'm praying he is, honey. I am praying he's coming home to end things with that woman and fix his family." I said nothing, but a cold dread was spreading through me, because I knew he wasn't coming alone, and I knew that my carefully constructed world was about to be blown apart. The morning of his arrival was a blur of forced enthusiasm. Ethan had called his mother with the flight details, landing at 10 a.m. At 8 a.m., sharp, Carol was knocking on my bedroom door. "Harper, get up, get dressed. Wear that white dress, the one you wore to that wedding last month. It looks so beautiful on you." I wanted to crawl under the covers and disappear. "Carol, I really don't feel like it." "Nonsense," she said, bustling into the room. "A woman must always look her best. Always. Even when she's sleeping. Now, come on. Hair, makeup, the works." She was a whirlwind, pulling the dress from my closet, laying out my makeup. She insisted on curling my hair, on me wearing heels. She dressed Lily in a pretty little frock, and soon we were a picture-perfect family, ready to welcome home the man who had shattered us. We looked like a portrait of happiness, a beautiful, fragile lie. The drive to the airport was silent. Carol kept glancing at the clock, her hands fidgeting in her lap. I understood her anxiety. After 3 long years, she was finally going to see her son. I knew that everything she had done, all her schemes, and her stubbornness, had been born from a desperate love for him. She just wanted her family back. I sat in the passenger seat, my own heart a tangled mess of emotions. I was a bundle of nerves, my stomach churning. What if he came back alone? What if he was here to beg for forgiveness, to end things with the other woman? Could I give him another chance, for Lily's sake, for the memory of the man I had once loved? Could I find it in my heart to forgive him? I wanted to. I truly, desperately wanted to give our daughter a home with both her parents. We waited by the arrivals gate, the digital clock ticking closer to 10. Finally, the door slid open. and the passengers from his flight began to trickle out. Carol stood on her tiptoes, scanning the crowd. "Ethan, Ethan, we're over here," she suddenly cried out, a wave of pure joy in her voice. I saw him then. He looked different, older, thinner. He turned towards the sound of his mother's voice, a weary smile spreading across his face. "Mom," he said, as she rushed forward and threw her arms around him, weeping with relief. "I'm back. I'm home." My heart did a strange little flip. For a second, just 1 second, I felt a flicker of the old love, the old connection. I wanted to run to him, to hold him, to feel his arms around me, but I stopped, because walking just a few steps behind him was a woman. She was young, beautiful, dressed in expensive, fashionable clothes, and she was carrying a baby. She walked up to them, a bright, confident smile on her face. "Hello, Mom," she said to Carol, as if this was the most natural thing in the world. Carol's face fell. The joy vanished, replaced by a stony, thunderous expression. Ethan, oblivious, just kept smiling. "Mom, I want you to introduce you. This is Thuy. I've brought her and the kids home to meet the family." Kids, plural. That's when I noticed the nanny walking behind them, carrying another baby. 2 sons. She had given him 2 sons. I felt like I had been turned to stone. All the air left my lungs. So, this was it. The final, undeniable proof that my marriage, my family, my life as I knew it, was over. He hadn't just replaced me. He had built an entirely new life, a better life, with a beautiful woman and 2 perfect sons. The nanny was the final, crushing blow. They were wealthy, successful. They had everything. Carol didn't say a word. She turned away from them, her face a mask of fury, and walked over to me. She took Lily from my arms. "Let's go, Harper," she said, her voice shaking with rage. "We're leaving." She stormed off towards the exit, pulling me along with her. "Mom, wait for us," Ethan called out behind us. Carol didn't slow down. She hailed the first taxi she saw, bundled us into the back seat, and slammed the door. "Go," she snapped at the driver. "Just go." Behind us, I could see Ethan standing on the curb, Thuy and the nanny beside him, surrounded by a mountain of expensive luggage, a look of bewildered frustration on his face. The ride home was a blur of tears and broken words. I couldn't cry. I was too numb, too empty. All the fight had gone out of me. "I have to divorce him now, Carol," I said, my voice a hollow echo of itself. "There's no other choice. He doesn't want us. It's over." But Carol was resolute. "No," she insisted, her voice thick with tears. "I won't allow it. I will never, ever accept her. He can take that woman and her children and go wherever he wants. But you and Lily, you are staying with me." "But he's brought them here, to your house." "I can't. I can't live like that, Carol." "I'm so sorry, Harper," she sobbed, pulling me into a hug. "I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix this." When we got home, the first thing Carol did was lock the front door and draw all the curtains. But it was a futile gesture. Less than 5 minutes later, a car pulled up, and Ethan and his new family were standing on our doorstep. He rang the doorbell again and again. No one moved. But Thuy was not the type to be ignored. She marched over to the neighbor's house, a sweet, concerned look on her face, and a few moments later, our neighbor was banging on our front door. Carol, open the door. What on earth is wrong with you? Your son is home with his family. You can't just leave them out on the street. Have you lost your mind?" The fear of neighborhood gossip was more powerful than Carol's rage. With a heavy sigh, she unlocked the door and let them in. The moment they stepped inside, I knew I had to leave. I couldn't breathe the same air as them. I called my mother, my voice breaking. "Mom, can you come and get us? I'm coming home." I went to my room, grabbed Lily, and walked towards the door. "Leave the kid," Ethan said, his voice flat. "You can go." But she stays. Something inside me snapped. All the pain, all the humiliation, all the silent suffering of the past 3 years erupted in a wave of pure, unadulterated rage. "You dare!" I screamed, my voice a feral roar that I didn't recognize as my own. "You dare try to take my daughter from me. After everything you've done, you think because I've been quiet, you can just walk all over me. You think you can sit on my head. I will kill you. I swear to God, I will kill you before I let you touch her." Twee, surprisingly, intervened. "Just let her go, Ethan. Let her take the girl. We have our 2 boys. Why would we want her? Let them leave. It's less of a headache for us." Her words, meant to dismiss me, had the opposite effect. They were a splash of ice water, jolting me back to reality. If I left now, I was handing her my life. She would move into my room, sleep in my bed, live in the house that was supposed to be mine. She would win. No, I would not let her win. Without a word, I turned around, walked back into the living room, and took my daughter upstairs to our room. I locked the door, lay down on the bed, and held her tight, listening to the confused murmurs from downstairs. "What's wrong with her?" Twee whined. "Why did she come back?" Ethan was just as bewildered. I don't know." Carol's voice cut through the confusion, sharp and clear. "This is her home. Why would she leave? If anyone wants to leave, the door is right there. I'm not stopping you." Twee's voice rose in frustration. "If she's not leaving, where are the boys and I supposed to sleep, Ethan? Are you just going to stand there? Go upstairs and kick her out." She's in a mood right now," Carol warned. "I wouldn't provoke her if I were you. She might just stab you, and I wouldn't blame her." She went into her own room and slammed the door, leaving Ethan and Twee to fend for themselves. Downstairs, the chaos continued. "Twee, where should I put the baby's things?" the nanny asked. Ethan, finally spurred into action, made a decision. We'll stay downstairs for now. There's a storage room. I can clear it out." It was a small, damp, windowless room, filled with old furniture and forgotten junk. It took him hours to clean it out, to make it even remotely habitable. Twee, accustomed to a life of luxury, was appalled. When he finally laid 2 thin mattresses on the floor, she exploded. "You expect me and my sons to sleep here?" she shrieked. "Are you out of your mind? You pathetic, cowardly excuse for a man. Why is she still upstairs in that beautiful room while we're down here in this dungeon?" "Just for tonight, Twee," he pleaded. "It was a long flight. Let's just get some rest. We'll figure it out tomorrow." But she was relentless. Her voice, sharp and cruel, echoed through the house. "Your mother is a monster, and you're just as bad. You promised me you would handle this. You promised me she would be gone. You are the biggest disappointment of my life." He didn't fight back. He just stood there and took it, his shoulders slumped in defeat. And upstairs, in my room, holding my daughter, I listened to them tear each other apart. And for the first time, in a very, very long time, I smiled. The next morning, the house was a war zone of silent hostilities. Carol was up before the sun, a general preparing her battlefield. I heard her moving around in the kitchen, the clatter of pots and pans, a declaration of her allegiance. She didn't cook for the house, she cooked for me. A little while later, she came upstairs carrying a tray laden with scrambled eggs, bacon, and a steaming mug of coffee. She set it down on my bedside table. "Eat up, honey," she said, her voice soft. You and Lily need your strength. She had already fed and dressed my daughter. She treated me not like a daughter-in-law, but like her own flesh and blood. A wounded soldier she was nursing back to health. Downstairs, her actual son and his new family were treated as if they didn't exist. After breakfast, I was getting ready for work when I heard Ethan's voice from the kitchen. "Mom, did you make anything to eat?" "I'm starving." Carol's reply was clipped, her back to him as she washed the dishes. "I have no idea what you people eat. Why don't you ask?" "Twee, to cook for you." She said the name as if it were a foul taste in her mouth. She doesn't really know how to cook," Ethan stammered. "Back in Dubai, she never had to." "Ah, I see," Carol said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "I forgot you brought the help with you. Well then, have the nanny cook for you." "The nanny is here to look after the children, Mom. That's it. We can't afford to pay her to cook, too." "Then I guess you'll have to figure it out yourselves," she said, drying her hands. "The grocery store is about a mile down the road. You can walk. I'm taking Lily to daycare." And with that, she was gone. Ethan was left standing in the kitchen, helpless. He went to the bedroom to wake Twee, but she just groaned and rolled over. "It's barely 7 in the morning. What do you want?" She mumbled into the pillow and went back to sleep. When I came downstairs, I saw him. He was sitting on the sofa in the living room, one of his sons in his arms, looking utterly defeated. He was staring into space, a glass of water on the table his only sustenance, and a strange, cold feeling washed over me. It was a cocktail of pity, disgust, and a sharp, satisfying pang of victory. He was home, and he had not once asked to see his daughter. He hadn't held her, hadn't touched her. He was so terrified of upsetting his precious, pitiful Twee that he was treating his own child like a stranger. Right then, in that moment, the last embers of love I might have held for him died out completely. The woman who had cried for him, begged for him, was gone. In her place was someone else, someone colder and clearer. This was a game, and I was going to win. I deliberately walked past him, then turned around as if I'd forgotten something, then walked past him again, making him squirm in his seat. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Good. That day at work, I made a phone call. I found the handsome manager, the CEO's son. I found Alex. "I was wondering," I said, my voice steady, "if that offer for coffee is still on the table." I needed a fortress, a solid, unbreachable defense, and Alex, with his kind eyes, his easy smile, and his family's fortune, was the most powerful weapon I could imagine. Our first official date was that weekend, and Alex, it turned out, did not believe in half measures. He had a brand new, gleaming black sedan delivered to the house. It was parked right out front, a giant red bow on the hood, looking completely out of place in our modest, working-class neighborhood. He stood beside it, holding a bouquet of roses so large it was almost comical. Ethan and Twee saw it first. They were in the front yard, trying to get some sun for the babies. They thought it was a delivery, maybe furniture for their miserable little room. "Wow," Twee said, her eyes wide. "Look at that. Someone's boyfriend knows how to be romantic." Ethan walked over to the gate. "Excuse me, I think you have the wrong house." Alex smiled, a polite, charming smile. He knew exactly who Ethan was. I learned later he'd had a background check done on me, on my entire situation. He knew everything, but he played his part perfectly. "Oh, I don't think so," he said. "I'm looking for Harper. Does she live here?" Ethan froze. Twee's jaw dropped. She looked from the car to the flowers to Alex's handsome face. You're Harper's boyfriend?" she stammered. "I am," Alex said, his eyes twinkling. The shock on her face was a thing of beauty. I could see the gears turning in her head. Her Ethan, who couldn't even afford a used car, who was jobless and living in a storage room, versus my Alex, who bought luxury sedans as a casual gift. The comparison was brutal, and it was written all over her face. I chose that moment to walk outside, feigning surprise. "Alex, what is all this? You didn't have to." He winked at me. "I wanted to surprise you. This is for you, Harper. A little something to celebrate our first official date." Ordinarily, I would have been mortified. I would have refused. But this wasn't an ordinary date. This was a declaration of war. I smiled. A wide, dazzling smile aimed directly over his shoulder at my audience of two. "It's beautiful," I said. "Thank you." And then, to add the final, perfect touch, I stood on my tiptoes and gave him a sweet, lingering kiss on the cheek. I took the enormous bouquet of roses and sashayed back into the house, leaving the three of them in a tableau of stunned silence. The rest of the day, the tension in the house was thick enough to cut with a knife. Twee was sullen and resentful. Ethan was a ghost, avoiding me at all costs. His years in Dubai, all that money he'd earned, it was gone. Spent on Twee, on their sons, on a life that had left him with nothing to show for it but a mountain of resentment. He'd come home to nothing, not even a car to his name, still waiting to hear back about a job application he'd submitted. Later that afternoon, I saw Twee go outside to chat with the neighbor. This was my chance. I put on a pair of short shorts, the kind Ethan used to love, and went downstairs. He was sitting on the sofa, looking miserable. "Hey," I said softly, "any luck with the job yet?" Now that Twee was out of earshot, he dared to look at me. "No, still waiting for them to call." I moved a little closer, feigning sympathy. "Well, you'll need a car to get to work when they do call, right?" He scratched the back of his neck, looking embarrassed. "Yeah, I was. I was thinking I'd have to buy a cheap, used one for now. I'm a little short on cash." I let a look of pity cross my face. "Don't be silly," I said, my voice all sweet concern. "You should just take my old car. I have the new one now, so I won't be using it. It's just sitting there. You should take it." He stared at me, speechless, just as Carol walked into the room. "She's right, Ethan," Carol said, jumping right in. "Take her car. You need to start working. Start providing for those two boys of yours." She paused, her eyes narrowing. "Which brings me to a question I've been meaning to ask. Don't take this the wrong way, but are you sure they're yours?" Ethan flinched as if he'd been slapped. "Of course they're mine, Mom. What kind of question is that?" Carol just shrugged, her expression unreadable. "Well, that's a relief. At least you got two sons out of the deal. If you had come back with that, Twee, and nothing to show for it, I would have thrown you out of this house myself. The only reason she's under my roof is because of those babies." She turned and walked away, leaving her words hanging in the air like a toxic cloud. Ethan sat there, stunned into silence, shamefaced. He felt guilty. I could see it. Guilty about me, about Lily, about the mess he had made of all our lives. But he was trapped, entangled with Twee and his two new sons, with no clear way out. Carol turned to me before she left the room. Her voice was surprisingly gentle. "And you, Harper, if this Alex fellow is a good man, if he truly loves you and will take care of you, then you have my blessing. Ethan didn't know how to appreciate you. Let someone else show him how it's done. You just do whatever makes you happy." "Thanks, Carol," I said, my voice thick with emotion. Ethan didn't say a word. His face was a thundercloud of resentment and regret. I went upstairs, retrieved the keys to my old car, and came back down. "Here," I said, dangling them in front of him. "Take them, really. You need a car to get around." He finally looked at me, a long, searching look. "Thanks, Harper," he mumbled. I moved closer, leaning in so he could smell the perfume on my neck. It was the same one he'd bought me years ago, just before he left for Dubai. I had saved it, a relic from a life that no longer existed. Now, it was a weapon. "Don't mention it," I whispered, letting my hand brush against his arm. He inhaled sharply, the familiar scent a ghost from his past. I saw a flicker of something in his eyes, something that looked dangerously like longing. The man who had been cold and distant for years, the man who had ordered me to divorce him, was suddenly looking at me as if he were seeing me for the first time. The tired, pregnant wife he had left behind had been replaced by this creature he didn't recognize, and he was intrigued. He reached out, his hand circling my waist, pulling me closer. "Harper," he breathed, his voice rough with an emotion I couldn't quite place. I feel so guilty. I'm so sorry for everything." I didn't pull away. I let him hold me, playing my part. "It's okay," I said, my voice a soft, forgiving murmur. "If you ever get the chance, you can make it up to me." I left the words hanging there, ambiguous and full of promise. He nodded, his eyes intense. "I will, I promise. The first chance I get, I'll make it all up to you." Poor, foolish man. He had no idea he was a pawn in my game. My heart was a frozen landscape. There was no love left for him there. There was only a burning, all-consuming desire for revenge. I wanted Thuy to feel every ounce of the pain she had inflicted on me. I wanted her to know the agony of being betrayed by the man she loved. And I would use Ethan himself to make it happen. The next morning, Ethan got the call. He had the job. Thuy, of course, stayed home with the babies and the nanny. The power dynamic in the house was a twisted, complicated web. Carol, out of pity for the children, would buy groceries, but she would leave them on the counter, forcing Thuy or the nanny to cook. Ethan had to fend for himself for breakfast. When he came downstairs, ready to leave for his first day of work, Thuy saw him heading for my old car, her face contorted with fury. "Where do you think you're going with her car?" she shrieked. "I'm borrowing it, Thuy, just until I can afford my own." "I don't care. I forbid it. You can borrow from anyone else, but not from her. Do you understand me?" He sighed, his patience already wearing thin. "There's no one else to borrow from. What do you want me to do? Walk?" "I don't care if you have to walk." I said no. He ignored her, got in the car, and drove away. She stood in the driveway, screaming after him, her voice raw with impotent rage. "You bastard. I hate you." Carol came out onto the porch, shaking her head. "You know, for someone with so much money, you could just buy him a car yourself. Then he wouldn't have to borrow one." Thuy spun around, her eyes blazing. "Don't you dare talk to me about money. My parents are rich, not me. They were furious that I ended up with a man who was already married. I can't ask them for anything." "Well then, I guess you're stuck," Carol said with a smug smile, and went back inside. The arguments became a nightly ritual. The moment Ethan walked in the door, Thuy would start in on him. One evening, I was upstairs and heard a crash from the driveway. I looked out the window. Thuy had thrown the car keys into the street. "I told you I don't want you driving her car," she was screaming. "Are you insane?" he yelled back. "I worked all day. I'm exhausted. And this is what I come home to. You brought this on yourself. You're the one who won't listen to me, so I'm supposed to walk to work. Is that it? You have no consideration for me at all. Do you give a damn about my feelings?" she retorted. He didn't even answer, just stormed into the house and went straight to their room, slamming the door. The next morning, as he was standing on the curb, wondering how he was going to get to work, I came out, a spare key in my hand. "Here," I said, pressing it into his palm. "I have plenty of spares. Don't worry about it." He looked at me, his eyes full of a weary gratitude. "Harper, I don't know what to say. Thank you." I smiled, a slow, seductive smile. I stepped closer, reaching up to gently brush a stray piece of hair from his forehead. "You're welcome." My voice was a purr. I let my fingers linger on his cheek. "You should shave," I murmured. "Your beard is getting scruffy." The air between us crackled with a tension that was both old and new. The memories of our shared past, of the love we once had, were colliding with this strange new dynamic. He was confused, conflicted, and utterly captivated. I should go," he stammered, pulling away. "I'll be late." "Okay," I said, my eyes following him as he got in the car. "We'll talk later." As he drove away, I saw Thuy watching from the window, her face a mask of pure hatred. The game was afoot, and it was more satisfying than I could have ever imagined. The seeds of doubt and jealousy I was planting were taking root, and I knew it was only a matter of time before their twisted little love story imploded. Alex, bless his patient heart, was my willing accomplice. He understood my need for revenge, even if he didn't condone it. He begged me to let it go, to file for divorce, and start a new life with him, to leave the toxicity behind. "Let's get married, Harper," he'd say, his eyes full of a sincere, uncomplicated love. "Let me and Lily and I move away from all this. I'll give you a beautiful life, a happy life. You don't need this, but I did need it. I needed to see it through to the end." I wasn't ready to let go of the anger. It was the only thing that had kept me warm on the coldest nights. One afternoon, a text message popped up on my phone. It was from Ethan. "Can you get off work early today? I want to take you out to eat." It was only 3 in the afternoon. He was planning to take me out and be home by 5, so Thuy would be none the wiser. He was trying to have an affair with his own wife. The irony was almost too much to bear. "What are you in the mood for?" I texted back, playing along. "Whatever you want," he replied instantly. "I got a bonus today. I want to treat you, and we can buy some gifts for Lily." Lily. Now he remembered he had a daughter. I took a screenshot of the entire conversation, and then I sent it to Thuy. No, wait. That wasn't quite right. Sending it to her directly would be too obvious. I needed to be more subtle. This was a long game, a game of psychological warfare. I didn't want to give her a single piece of ammunition she could use against me. So I replied to Ethan, my message dripping with false regret. "Oh, Ethan, I'd love to, but I can't. I'm swamped with a rush order at work. If you have time, you should go buy something for Lily yourself. You haven't gotten her a single thing since you've been back. Don't you feel bad for her?" His reply was immediate. "You're right. I'll go get her something now. But you owe me a rain check. We have to go out soon. I've missed you, Harper." I screenshotted that too, and I saved it. I saved it all. I was building an arsenal, and I would deploy it at the moment of my choosing. A moment when it would cause the most spectacular damage. That evening, I came home to a mountain of gifts on my bed. Dresses, toys, dolls, everything a little girl could ever want. Carol was in the room, a strange expression on her face. "Lily's father bought all this for her," she said, her voice a low murmur after she'd closed the door. After all this time, he finally remembers he has a daughter. I suppose seeing her every day finally got to him. "He asked me to go with him," I said quietly. But I told him I was busy. Carol sighed. He has 3 children now. He can't just buy things for one. If Thuy finds out, that foolish boy, he's just asking for a fight. He's finally realizing his mistake, but it's too late. She was right. The nightly arguments escalated. I would sit in my room, the door slightly ajar, listening to the poison seep through the floorboards. I knew my nightly routine. Around 8 o'clock, I would take my laundry up to the rooftop to hang, and I knew Ethan's routine too. He would pass by my open door on his way to do the same. Tonight, I was ready for him. I didn't close my door. I sat at my vanity, wearing a silky, rose-colored slip, something delicate and revealing. I brushed my hair, watching his reflection in the mirror as he walked past, carrying a laundry basket. He glanced in. He stopped. He stared. The woman in the mirror was a stranger to him. Slender, confident, alluring. He stood there for a long moment, mesmerized, before shaking himself out of his trance and continuing up to the roof. I waited. When I heard his footsteps coming back down, I called out to him, my voice soft and inviting. Ethan, can you help me with something for a second? He was in my room before I'd even finished the sentence. What is it? My closet door, I said, pointing. It keeps making this awful squeaking noise every time I open it. Can you take a look? He moved towards the closet, and I moved with him. Standing so close, I could feel the heat radiating from his body. He fumbled with the hinges, his hands unsteady, but his eyes were on me. I could feel his gaze, hot and intense. He was hooked, utterly and completely hooked. He swallowed hard, his Adam's apple bobbing. Harper, you're more beautiful than ever. I feigned a bashful smile, the picture of innocence. You think so? I feel the same as always. No, he said, his voice husky. You're different, and you smell so good. Do I? I whispered, and that's when the hurricane made landfall. What the hell are you doing in here? Thuy stood in the doorway, her face a mask of pure, unadulterated fury. She had seen the laundry basket outside my door, and her suspicion had ignited. I was just fixing her closet door, Ethan stammered, jumping back from me as if he'd been burned. What's the big deal? Fixing her closet, she shrieked, her voice cracking. At this time of night, while she's dressed like that, you think I'm a fool? You were about to sleep with her, weren't you? I stepped forward, my voice calm and reasonable, pouring gasoline on the fire. I just asked for his help with the door. You don't need to be so dramatic. Dramatic? She screamed. You manipulative bitch. If I hadn't come up here, God knows what you two would be doing. I'm going to kill you. She lunged at me. I did the only thing a damsel in distress would do. I shrieked and hid behind Ethan. Ethan, help me! I'm scared. He reacted on pure instinct. He shoved Thuy back, hard. Stop it. You're acting crazy. His defense of me was the one thing she couldn't bear. She flew at him, nails clawing, a wild animal. He was bigger, stronger. He grabbed her by the hair and, in a fit of rage, he punched her, square in the face. The sound of the blow echoed in the small room. She stumbled backward, stunned, a hand flying to her cheek. Then, with a guttural cry, she lunged at him again. This time, he didn't hold back. He hit her again, a closed fist, a sickening thud. She crumpled to the floor, unconscious. It was horrifying. It was brutal. And deep inside me, in a dark, cold place I didn't know existed, I felt a flicker of grim satisfaction. Ethan stared down at her, his chest heaving, his face pale with shock at his own violence. He scooped her up in his arms and carried her downstairs, shouting for his mother. Carol came running out of her room. What happened? She fainted. he lied, laying Thuy on the sofa. I came down a moment later, the picture of wide-eyed innocence. I just asked him to fix my closet door, I said, my voice trembling. And she flew into a rage and started attacking us. Carol just sighed, a deep, weary sound. That girl, she's going to be the death of us all. I knew that when Thuy woke up, she would explode. The house would become a war zone. I wasn't going to be there for that. I quietly slipped out the back door and went to my parents' house. Let them deal with the fallout. Thuy woke up to a throbbing pain and a mirror that reflected her worst nightmare. A black eye, swollen and ugly. She ran into Carol's room, sobbing. Look what your son did to me. He hit me. Carol, without missing a beat, went to her medicine cabinet and pulled out a jar of ointment. Well, he hits hard. I'll give him that. Here, put this on it. I don't want your ointment, Thuy wailed. Where is he? And where is she? Harper went to her parents' house, and Ethan went out for a beer with his friends. The fact that he could go out drinking after what he'd done was the final insult. Thuy, her face bruised, her hair a mess, stormed out of the house. She knew the bar he frequented, a little dive at the end of our street. She was going to show everyone, the whole neighborhood, what kind of monster he really was. He was sitting with two of his old buddies, nursing a beer, his head in his hands. I can't take it anymore, he was saying, his voice slurred. My life is a nightmare. I made a mistake. A huge, terrible mistake. I should have never left Harper. Thuy. She's not a woman. She's a demon. God, I was so stupid. Just as his friends were trying to comfort him, Thuy burst into the bar. A collective gasp went through the small crowd. She looked like she'd been in a prize fight. Look at me, she screamed, pointing to her bruised face. Look at what he did to me. This man, this pillar of the community, is a woman-beating monster. The bar fell silent. Everyone turned to stare at Ethan. He jumped to his feet, his face red with fury and humiliation. Are you out of your mind? Taking our private business and airing it out in public? I want everyone to know who you really are, she shrieked. A lying, cheating, abusive bastard, he snapped. He slapped her, hard, right there in front of everyone. His friends had to physically restrain him, dragging him out of the bar before he could do any more damage. He went home and locked himself in their room. She followed a few minutes later, the fight still raging in her. She threw open the door. Get up and face me, she screamed. He pulled the covers over his head. You promised me the world, she sobbed, her anger turning to a desperate, wounded cry. You promised you would divorce her, that we would have a life together, and now you beat me. You humiliate me. Why? Why did you change? He sat up, his face a mask of utter exhaustion. Thuy, I am begging you, for the love of God, just give me 2 words. Peace and quiet. That's all I want. You want peace and quiet, she sneered. Fine. Divorce her, tomorrow, and kick her out of this house. If you are still entangled with that woman in any way, I will make your life a living hell. He looked defeated. She's already filed the papers, Thuy. We're just waiting for the court date. It was a lie, of course. A desperate attempt to buy himself a moment of peace. But it worked. Thuy, finally placated, went to take a shower. A moment later, a new scream echoed through the house. She ran out of the bathroom, pointing at her face. The hot water had made the bruising worse. She now had 2 black eyes. She grabbed the first thing she could find, a hairdryer, and started beating him with it, over and over. You hit me. You hit me. He scrambled out of bed, trying to escape her frantic assault, running out of the house and into the street, with her chasing after him, still screaming. The war had finally, truly, begun. The next day, I returned to the house. The atmosphere was thick with the suffocating silence that follows a storm. When Thuy saw me, she scurried back into her room like a frightened animal, ashamed to show me her battered face. But I was patient. I wanted to see my handiwork. I sat in the living room, pretending to watch TV, waiting. Eventually, thirst drove her out. She emerged from the room, her head down, trying to get to the kitchen without me seeing. I put on my most concerned voice. "Oh my God, Thuy, what happened to your face? It's all black and blue." She tossed her hair back, a flicker of defiance in her swollen eyes. "Your precious Ethan did this. Are you happy now? Is this what you wanted?" I let out a small, shocked gasp. I can't believe it. He never, ever laid a hand on me. He never even raised his voice. To see him do this to you, it's just shocking. The comparison was a knife, and I twisted it. "Did you file the papers yet?" she asked, changing the subject, her voice sharp. I feigned confusion. "What papers?" "The divorce papers. Ethan said you filed them." "Oh, that," I said with a dismissive wave of my hand. He must have been mistaken. "I haven't filed anything. I'm too busy. If he wants a divorce so badly, he can file them himself." Her face crumbled. He lied to me? "I guess so," I said with a shrug. "Anyway, I'm not really concerned about it. Whoever thinks it's important can handle it." I leaned in, my voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "You know, they say you can tell a lot about a man by the way he treats his woman." Her eyes narrowed. "What's that supposed to mean? Are you trying to mock me? Mock you?" "No," I said, my voice dripping with false sympathy. "I just feel so sorry for you." I stood up, ready to deliver the final, devastating blow. "You know, this is all just the beginning, Thuy. The show is just getting started. There are so many more fun things in store for you. You just wait." I walked away, leaving her trembling with a mixture of rage and fear. She flew into a frenzy, demanding to see the messages Ethan had sent me. I played coy, telling her they were a secret, which only fueled her paranoia. She collapsed onto the floor, wailing and sobbing, a complete and utter breakdown. It was the sound of victory. I knew another war was about to erupt, so I slipped out the door to meet Alex. He was waiting for me, his face etched with concern. He had seen the chaos, the screaming, the bruises. "Harper, this has to stop," he pleaded, his voice earnest. "I know you're hurt, but this isn't the way. Let it go, please. For the sake of those 2 innocent babies, just walk away. Divorce him. Marry me. Let's go somewhere far away from all this and be happy." His words, so full of love and reason, almost swayed me, but the poison of revenge had sunk too deep. "I can't," I whispered. "Not yet. The show is just getting to the good part." He looked at me, his eyes full of a pain that I was causing, and I felt a pang of guilt, but it wasn't enough. "If you can wait for me until next year, Alex, I promise, I will be all yours. But right now, I have to finish this." He saw it was no use. He just shook his head, a single tear tracing a path down his cheek. I left him there, my heart a little heavier, and went back home. I had a front row seat to the finale, and I wasn't going to miss it. The sounds of smashing glass and screaming were audible from the street. Thuy was in a full-blown rampage. "You lied to me," she was shrieking. "You never wanted a divorce. You just wanted to keep her around. You want both of us, don't you?" Ethan was at his breaking point. He dragged her, kicking and screaming, to the front door and threw her out, locking it behind her. He started grabbing her clothes, her belongings, and throwing them out the door after her. "Get out," he roared. "I'm done with you. I'll raise the boys myself. Just get out of my life." She pounded on the door, her screams turning into desperate sobs. Carol came out, holding one of the crying babies, her face a mask of weary despair. She begged Ethan to let Thuy back in, afraid she would do something drastic. He refused. Carol, terrified that Thuy might harm herself, ran out into the night to find her. Ethan sank onto the sofa, his head in his hands. "I'm going to leave her, Mom," he said, his voice broken. "I can't do this anymore. I'll raise the boys. You'll help me, right?" "You need to calm down," Carol pleaded. "Don't make any decisions when you're angry." "I'm not angry. I'm just done. Leaving Harper was the biggest mistake of my life. Thuy isn't fit to be a mother. She's not fit to be a wife. I don't love her. I never did." While his mother was desperately trying to talk him down, Thuy was not at the nearby bridge, contemplating her life. She was at the supermarket. She bought a small, sharp paring knife, and then she came back. She was standing outside the gate when I got home from my non-date with Alex. He had been waiting for me. "Thuy," he said, seeing her disheveled state. "Are you okay?" She ignored him, turning to me as I approached the gate. "Tell Harper to open the door. I forgot my key." Alex looked uneasy. "I just called her. She's on her way down." Thuy smiled, a chilling, empty smile. "Good. Then we'll just wait a few more minutes. I need to send her off on her journey to heaven." Her words, so cold and strange, sent a shiver down Alex's spine. He watched her, a sense of dread creeping over him. I came downstairs, with Ethan trailing behind me, begging me not to go, not to choose Alex. "Don't marry him, Harper. Come back to me. We can fix this. I'll leave her. I swear." I pushed past him, ignoring his pleas. I was done with the games, done with the pain. I was going to accept Alex's proposal. I was going to choose happiness. I opened the gate, a smile on my face for the man who was waiting for me. "Alex, I never finished the sentence." Thuy moved like a viper. The knife, hidden in her sleeve, flashed in the dim light. She lunged at me. "Harper, look out." Alex threw himself in front of me. The knife plunged into his stomach. He gasped, a look of shocked surprise on his face, and crumpled to the ground. I screamed. Ethan, seeing what had happened, rushed forward. "Thuy, are you insane?" She turned on him, her eyes wild and vacant. The knife flashed again. Once, twice, 3 times. He stared down at his own blood, his eyes wide with disbelief, and then he, too, collapsed. She turned to me, the bloody knife held aloft. "Now, it's your turn." My legs gave out. I couldn't move, couldn't scream. This was it. This was how it ended. "Thuy?" "No." It was Carol's voice. She was standing in the doorway, holding the twin baby boys, her face a mask of pure terror. Thuy froze. She looked from me to her screaming, crying children. The knife fell from her hand, clattering onto the pavement. And then she turned and ran. The world went black. 3 years later. "Honey, wake up. It's almost 8. I opened my eyes to the sight of Alex's smiling face. 8 already. I groaned, sitting up. Oh my God, I still have to do my hair, my makeup. Why didn't you wake me up sooner? He laughed, kissing my forehead. You and Lily are already perfect. Besides, he said, a teasing glint in his eye, it's your ex-husband's wedding. Are you trying to upstage the bride? I swatted him playfully. Don't be silly. I just want to look nice. You always look nice, he said, his voice soft and full of a love that still, after all this time, took my breath away. And for the record, I'm not jealous. The man can barely stand up straight on a windy day. He's no threat to me. It was true. The stabbing had nearly killed him. It was a miracle he had survived. Just as it was a miracle Alex had survived. The scar on his stomach, a permanent reminder of the day he had saved my life. Thuy had been sentenced to 3 years in a psychiatric facility. 3 years of therapy, of remorse, of healing. And in that time, something strange had happened. She and Ethan, brought together by shared trauma and the love for their sons, had found their way back to each other. They had forgiven, they had grown, and today, they were getting married. A little voice piped up from the doorway. "Mommy, Daddy, are you ready?" Uncle Ethan just called. He said he's waiting for us. It was Lily, our Lily. Alex and I were married a year after that terrible night. We waited. We healed. And now, as we prepared to move to a new country, to start a new life with Alex's family, we were here to witness the closing of a chapter. We were all survivors of a war of our own making. We were all scarred, but we were also, finally, at peace. We were friends. We were family. And as I looked at my husband and my daughter, my heart was so full, I thought it might just burst. We were all going to be happy, finally and forever.